All right, guys, we're back with another Q&A. Our goal is to help you be the best baseball player on the field. So the question comes in from Tyler. The question is how to get more velo off the mound and get your arm care good without icing and taking a really long time off after pitching a lot in a tournament. Okay, so we're talking about improving velocity and shoulder care. All right, so the first thing, Tyler, I want you to understand is that power is what we're after, right? We're trying to generate as much force in a short amount of time when we're throwing. The thing about power is that it's plane specific, so movement specific. When you're thinking about pitching, we're moving in this thing called the frontal plane, so we're moving left to right. Think about when you take your stride, you're moving sideways. Okay, so when we think about exercises that we need to be doing to improve our pitching, we need to be training in that plane. So I'm definitely going to recommend some lateral skaters and some pitcher shot puts. So at the end of this, we're going to show you what those look like. Okay, so just understand not any exercise or power exercise is going to help you be a better pitcher and throw harder. We need to be very specific and address that frontal plane. Okay, so now we talked about, you asked me about recovery, okay, and icing. All right, so icing is a very common thought or common practice when it comes to recovery after throwing. The thing that we know about icing at this point now is that it's actually not the best method of recovery for post throwing, okay? Because icing, what it does, it restricts blood flow. It limits the ability of flow to travel through that area. So what we actually want to do is we want blood to travel through that area because blood carries nutrients and it helps get rid of toxins and it helps reduce the mild inflammation, okay, which is exactly what happens when we throw. Now, icing is not all bad. Icing is good for any acute trauma, anything specific. If you got spiked to your ankle, if you got hit by a pitch, that's very specific and acute trauma. And icing plays a good role when it comes to recovery at that point. But when it comes to just throwing, icing is not the best thing to use, the best method. I actually think that doing stuff that's going to stimulate some good, easy blood flow in that area in your shoulder is actually the best way to recover. So a good way to think about it is a cool down, okay? When people work out, there's usually a cool down right after the workout. Same thing for your shoulder. When you pitch, when you're in the game, when you're throwing hard, that's the workout. And so we need to cool down to help the recovery process, okay? And it's actually been shown that a good cool down helps reduce soreness and the delayed muscle fatigue. So having a good protocol is going to help you like you want to help you recover, especially after a long tournament. I know what that's like. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do some floor work, okay? This doesn't require a lot of space or equipment. So we're going to do some W's, some sideline external rotations, some internal rotations, and some W to presses, okay? A lot of stuff that you see done to get ready to throw is the same type of stuff that can benefit you to help improve your recovery. So let's take a look at those now. All right, so the floor shoulder care exercises. The beauty here is that having the floor helps make sure that the rest of your body is basically neutral. At least makes it easier. You still have to make sure your hips are in place, but having that flat surface is a good reminder. You have that tactile feedback. You have this, the floor basically, you feel the floor and that's just gonna help your body stay neutral. So the first one we're gonna go over is the W. What you're gonna do is you're going to lay on your belly, your abs. You're going to keep your toes down. And you could start with just your arms, but as you get stronger and as you progress over the months, you can start to add in some smaller plates, maybe 1 pound weights, or you can grab something around your home. You could even use a weighted baseball, and that will basically start to challenge that exercise. So I'm going to use 1 pound plates. What you're going to do is with your toes down and your back neutral, you're going to create the letter W with your arms. From here, you're going to think about bringing your shoulder blades together, squeezing, holding for a second, and then relaxing down to the ground. You want to avoid lifting your shoulders up towards your ear because it starts to change the mechanics of the exercise. So keep your shoulder blades down. As you pull, squeeze your shoulder blades into the spine and then relax. So that's the W. Side lying lateral raise. Now, this exercise, as just about every shoulder exercise, our goal here is to target the rotator cuff. And so because they are smaller muscles, we don't need a ton of weight, because if we do use heavy weights, we're gonna start to recruit the bigger muscles in the shoulder. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna lay on your side. We're gonna, again, use a lighter weight. And what you're gonna do is keep your arm long, and keeping your shoulder down, you're gonna lift the plate up to roughly 45 degrees. The goal here is to keep the rest of your body neutral. You're gonna lift up to about this position. The common practice, the common mistake is trying to go all the way overhead, but that's gonna change, again, the target muscle group. So 45 degrees. From here, you're gonna lower it back down, controlling the negative, and you're gonna repeat. Because it is such a light weight, it's gonna feel like you're not strengthening much to start, but as you get into your set, which is roughly 15 to 20 reps, you're gonna start to feel this buildup in the shoulder, and because it was done with a lighter weight, now you're gonna be able to get into that rotator cuff. You don't need to do more than one, maybe 2 sets. You want to make sure you repeat on both sides. Even though we throw with one side, it's never a bad idea to keep both parts of your body healthy and even and symmetrical. There are some asymmetries, so there are some sides that we favor, we get it, but having that balance can never hurt. So especially when we think about longevity. Repeat both sides, maybe 15 to 20 reps, keep the weight low, and focus on that rotator cuff. So that is the side lying lateral raise. Floor internal rotation. You're gonna lay on your abs, keep your toes down, and try and maintain that neutral pelvis. You're gonna get in a bully position, okay? Think about putting your hand behind your back, and your palm is gonna be facing up. So that is where the exercise is gonna start. Oh, make sure that the hand is as high up your back as possible. You don't necessarily want to go heavy to start. If you have never done this before, just using your hand is gonna help you a ton. If you want to put a baseball in your hand, go ahead. But you don't really want to start adding weight until you've done this for a few weeks, even a few months. So again, on your abs, toes are down. You're gonna take your hand, put it behind your back, and bring it up as high as you can. If you have any limitations in your shoulder, in your internal rotation, you're gonna notice it. From here, you're gonna lift your hand up as high as you can off your back, and then release it. Lift, hold for a couple of seconds, and then release it. You're gonna feel this tremendous stretching and strengthening in your shoulder as you hold the hand. So I'm gonna show you a few reps without the weight, and then release. One common mistake is letting the hand drift away towards your heels. Do not do that. Even a subtle amount changes the way the exercise works. So that's a really good exercise to open up mobility in your internal rotation. You want to make sure you do both sides. Start on your non-dominant side. You want to think about high reps, so maybe 10 to 15, even 20 reps. You don't need to do a ton of sets. Maybe 1 or 2 sets is enough. So that is the floor internal rotation. The W to press. What you're gonna do is you're gonna lay on your abs, and you're basically gonna first complete a W where you first pull your shoulder blades down, your thumbs are facing up, elbows are towards your back pocket. You're gonna pull your shoulder blades to your spine. From here, you're gonna go into a press. Basically, think about straining your arms overhead, and then reversing back to the start. If you have any limitations In your lat mobility, if your lats are tight or your pecs are tight, you're going to really start to see that limitation. So this is a great way to test that, but it's also going to help strengthen your ability to have some good external rotation. So all the external rotators are getting work, and so that is the W to press.